And now, Reverend Dr. Alan Siegel will offer the response to the charge on behalf of the new seminary class of 2021.
Thank you, Reverend Dr. Furman. We offer homage and welcome to the eternal manifestations of gods and goddesses of the spirit world and our ancestors. We offer greetings to the Most Reverend Bishop, Dr. Michael Festa, His Royal Highness, Prince Da Vidikon Deka, otherwise known as the Very Reverend Dr. J. Spites, members of the TNS leadership team, especially Reverend Dr. Gail Cantor and Reverend Dr. Samora Smith, TNS facilitators, Dr. Andrew Vidic and Reverend J. Gianni Palma, Reverend Dr. Dorsey Odell Blake, Reverend Dr. Stacy Goforth, dignitaries, TNS colleagues, families, and friends, welcome. Before I offer you the class response, allow me to offer condolences to the Most Reverend Bishop Festa on the recent passing of his wife, Anna Festa. Dr. Festa, we are truly sorry for your loss, and we hold you in our hearts. On a personal note, I thank you, and I thank the seminary for the honor of receiving the Anna B. Festa Award for Interfaith Values. It is most humbling, especially in the face of her transition to eternal life. May she watch over us all and be a guiding spirit to the seminary and to the Interfaith Temple. I would now like to take a moment to introduce to each of you our graduates and our ordinands. Reverend Dr. Valencia Shante, also known as Princess Valencia Ayahetru Mayat in Colorado, an initiated practitioner of the ancient Kemetic Egyptian spirituality from the Shrine of Mayat in Harlem, and a graduate and ancient sacred arts practitioner of Queen Afua's Global Women's Village. She's a former professional basketball athlete, a model, nurse and social worker, and a prominent leader of community health and wellness initiatives. She is the founder of Feeding the Divine Feminine, which strives to restore the feminine divine's presence, philosophies, and practices, providing herbal nutrition and spiritual consultations and coaching. She came to us with a master's in divinity from Union Theological Seminary. Reverend Dr. Mary Beth Napier from Chicago is a Buddhist feminist Franciscan who practices earth-based traditions and Taoist mind-body practices. For the past 20 years, her ministry has been providing mental health care to marginalized groups, especially the transgender and gender-diverse communities. Mary Beth will soon be providing trauma-informed pastoral care to these communities, as well as serving in a new chaplaincy called Social Justice Movement Chaplaincy. She came to seminary with a doctorate in clinical psychology and a master's in pastoral studies with concentrations in spirituality and social justice. The Reverend Dr. John Robert Lee Jr., aka Dr. Bob Lee of Queens, New York. He's a Christian and a radio host since 1980 and community affairs director for WBLS Radio. He's an actor and author of 4 books. He's been involved with a number of community organizations, most especially Wheelchairs Charity Incorporated, which has raised millions of dollars for wheelchairs and mobility access. With the BLS On Time program and Make the Grade Foundation, a collaboration between parents, teachers, students, community, and clergy with a focus on financial literacy and healthcare. He came to the seminary with a bachelor's and master's degrees in communications and a master's doctorate in community ministry. Reverend Dr. Jacqueline Droscher from New Jersey is a student of various faith traditions and a believer in God. She is a retired educator who was inspired as a teacher to help students, parents, mentees, and colleagues, and she will be creating a ministry to restore the rituals of weddings, funerals, and other blessings that have been lost because of the pandemic. She came to seminary with a BA in psychology, a minor in theology, an MED in literacy, an MED in mathematics, an EDS in social and philosophical foundations. Reverend Dr. Rhonda Shinley is from Indiana, just outside of Chicago, and is a Judaic Christian mystic. In 2011, during a personal battle with stage 3 breast cancer, she had a near-death experience in which the divine led her to interfaith ministry. She is board chair of World Awake, which supports, promotes, inspires, and empowers interfaith clergy and spiritual care professionals. She is the founder of Interfaith Ministry Services, offering weddings, celebrations of life, baby blessings, and is also a publishing company. She came to seminary with a Master's of Science in Holistic Ministries, a Bachelor's of Science in Metaphysics, Ordination in Interfaith Ministry, co-ordained interfaith cleric and minister, and she holds numerous health and business certificates. Reverend Dr. Susan Tibble Siegel from Maryland embraces a liberating spirituality that draws from multiple traditions. Susan was a youth minister leader for 14 years before using her degree in education to develop and run an award-winning public school in the inner city of Baltimore. She now teaches adult spiritual formation classes, volunteers at the local hospital as a spiritual companion, and offers spiritual direction to individuals. She came to seminary with a BS in elementary education. Reverend Dr. Greg Katz of Colorado near Denver is connected and endorses the faith of Judaism. 30 years, he's been working in community clinics with individuals, families, and communities facing health challenges and health disparities. He's been focused on the uninsured, underinsured, and undocumented communities. He has served in HIV, AIDS, oncology community, and is an advocate for care and services for all. He is developing a ministry using art as a vehicle to help with preventing stress, PTSD, and burnout. And he will be using textile art that will create safe space for individuals to grieve and heal from the trauma of mass shootings. He comes to the seminary with an MS in clinical counseling. He's a licensed psychotherapist. He's got a PhD in wisdom studies and visual anthropology. He's got a graduate certificate in health humanities and ethics. Reverend Dr. Lori Sue Brockway from New York City has a devotion to the Hindu goddess Lakshmi. She is our vintage TNS grad who was ordained in 1999 and has returned home to complete her interfaith degrees. For more than 22 years, she has specialized in officiating interfaith, intercultural, and personalized non-denominational weddings. She is a student and teacher of the divine feminine in world traditions, and she's an author of many books. She came to seminary with a BA in human development from SUNY College in New York and studied marriage and family therapy at Mercy College. Reverend Kelly Sullivan Walden, aka Dr. Dream, is from California. A near-death experience changed her life and the way she dreamed. She is a dream expert, inspirational speaker, podcast host, and workshop facilitator, a multi-award-winning author, advisor, coach, film producer, and creator of various tools and apps for understanding one's dreams. She is a certified clinical hypnotherapist and co-founder of the Dream Project and Chime In, youth empowerment initiatives that support the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Reverend Dr. Maven Eve Hurwitz lives on the East Coast and is an interfaith minister with roots in conservative Judaism and connected with Goddess by communing energetically with nature. She's a 19-year U.S. Navy veteran and holds the rank of lieutenant commander. She was a lay leader in the military and a cantorial assistant. She is a Reiki practitioner, and her spiritual mission is to help humans unite their inner divine trinity, mind, body, and soul, to achieve unconditional love for self and others. She is currently the Director of Finance for March On, the Executive Director of March On Foundation, and the Minister of Technology for the Interfaith Temple. She comes to seminary with undergraduate degrees in classical vocal performance and 2 partially completed Masters of Finance programs. Reverend Sean Miro is our international student currently residing in Korea, and it is about 1 o'clock in the morning there, Sean, so thank you very much for being with us. He is a Baha'i who has a personal interest in Buddhist and Sufi meditation and in centering prayer. Sean is a U.S. veteran, a formal naval intelligence analyst for the Navy. He has been teaching English as a second language in Taiwan, Tajikistan, and Korea. Sean recently received his formal journey recently began his formal journey into interfaith studies with the expectations that a future ministry will unfold, and he came to seminary with a BA in economics. Reverend Dr. Bridget Boucher of New York City is a lay minister in the Catholic Church who embraces the mystical and spiritual nature of Catholicism. She is a former actress and currently a Reiki master, clinical therapist, hypnotherapist with a specialty in past life regression, and plans to pursue chaplaincy and work with dying and facilitate bereavement groups. She came to seminary with a master's in learning disorders and a master's of social work. Reverend Dr. Liberata Magdalena Sinclair of New Hampshire is a born mystic. Her intimate faith practice has roots in Catholicism and Judaism and expands deeply into socially engaged Buddhism. Nature is her chapel and wonder is one of her best teachers. She became a nurse during the HIV/AIDS epidemic and at the time when interfaith and hospice movements were becoming accessible. And those experiences evolved into a practice as a grief and end-of-life specialist, therapeutic artist, and spiritual director. She also does end-of-life doula, and she's a public presenter and author. She came to seminary with nursing degrees, a Master's of Arts, Therapeutic Arts and Conflict Communication, and numerous post-master's certification, including certification in NLP. Reverend Dr. Isa Kabir of Philadelphia is spiritually aligned with the mystics, especially those of the Sufi and Judaic traditions. He is an English teacher and adjunct chaplain whose ministry is of inclusiveness and love that conquers all. He has an interfaith ministry informed by his world travel and is constantly learning and seeking to build bridges and connections to all faiths. He comes to seminary with bachelor's and master's degrees in comparative religion and master's degree in international peace and conflict resolution. He has multiple graduate certificates and is in the process of completing his dual certification as a special education and English teacher. Reverend Dr. Claire Nelson is of Maryland. She is a Christian with roots in the Moravian, Anglican, and Episcopal traditions, and she is currently worship leader at the Tacoma Metaphysical Chapel. She is a chief ideation leader of the Futures Forum and one of Forbes' top 50 female futurists in the world. She's an award-winning writer and storyteller, an inspirational speaker, and fellow of TechCast Global Foresight Knowledge Network. She serves on many boards. She is a pioneer in her field of strategic development. She's a fierce advocate for people of color, especially in the Latin and Caribbean communities. Dr. Nelson is distinguished as the first Jamaican woman to earn a doctorate in an engineering discipline. And she comes to seminary with a bachelor's and master's in industrial engineering from SUNY at Buffalo and Purdue University, respectively, and a doctor in engineering management from George Washington University. And myself, Reverend Dr. Alan Siegel, I live in Maryland. I'm a Christian mystic and a member of the Religious Society of Friends, aka the Quakers. In 1980, I had a life-changing encounter with God, and in 2005, I was called to chaplaincy and ministry. I was a 40-year lay minister in the Catholic tradition, and I have the gifts of healing and anointing ministry, the most dramatic being the return to life of a dead motorcyclist in 1986 and the healing of a dying 10-week-old baby in 2004. I hold degrees in paramedic sciences and nursing. I have a Master's of Arts in Pastoral Studies, and I'm certified as a health minister and in critical incident management. It is said that God writes straight with crooked lines. That expression easily applies to each of us. We have been on a circuitous journey that brought us to this moment in both human and cosmic history. As you have heard, we are an amazing people, a gifted people, a blessed people. We are the fruit of the universe, and by the energy of the universe, created with the same building blocks of stars and planets. We are connected in some mysterious and fantastic way to the intelligence energy of the universe, the one source with infinite names. We are a small but mighty community of people which has at its heart the desire to serve others and address human suffering. For all of us, it is safe to say we have arrived at this point through a path that more resembles the switchbacks of mountain roads. God does write straight with crooked lines. We are all evidence of that. This class is defined by its curiosity and wonder, its intelligence, varied and diverse sacred religious and indigenous traditions and spiritual paths, diligent study, a respectful attitude towards humanity's religious and spiritual traditions, a commitment to personal and community growth, and personal actions taken to achieve our highest potential and to be our greatest potential. Our doctoral candidates presented diverse dissertations, such as Liberating Spirituality program called Come to the Feast, the spiritual and eternal nature of the Hindu goddess Lakshmi and devotional practices, the inner spiritual journey through the lens of Campbell's Hero's Journey, PACE as a communications method within the I-Thou relationship, the case study of World Awake and the application of spiritual wellness principles within organizations, Hamitic or Egyptian goddess spirituality as a path for wellness and acceptance of one's natural beauty, and the 5 Bodies, a program designed to help one find their way home. This is an experiential seminary, a place where one moves from faith to knowing. We studied various faith and religious traditions for their insights, their knowledge, and their wisdom. We have spent an extensive amount of time self-reflecting on our inner altars and what and who we are. And by reflecting upon our own identity through the concept of I am, we explored what lay on those inner altars. We turned to the inner light, sought to hear the still voice. And attuned ourselves to the divine heart and mind. We sought the eternal intentions for each of us. And what you see before you are individuals who follow in the footsteps of our founders and spiritual fathers, Rabbi Gelberman and Swami Satchidananda. We are an engaged and dynamic community. And to see the community of people we have become and what we have achieved at the new seminary would bring joy to the hearts of our founding fathers. Yet, we remain a creation in process. That is why we came, to continue to be created and to create something new in our lives that will give shape to a new journey and our realized potential. Howard Thurman writes in The Search for Common Ground that one of the most crucial signs of the creative intent of life is, quote, the way life seeks always to realize itself in wholeness, harmony, and integration within the potential that characterizes the particular expressions of life. For 2 years, the new seminary has been common ground and an incubator for us to understand our common ground of human interconnectedness through the lens of interfaith study and exploration. And while the knowledge presented in both book and instruction has challenged and changed us in meaningful ways, the greater gift may have been our own growth and change during these past few years. We are not the same people we were when we began this journey. Rabbi Gilberman spoke truth when he said, we are partners with God who wants to partner with us to bring harmony through peace and love to a broken and fragmented world. During our time here, we have borne witness to worldwide atrocities, the genocide of minority groups in China, Ethiopia, and Palestine, the injuring and killing of innocent Black men in our country, religious groups that pervert spiritual teachings in order to oppress and marginalize people of color, other cultures, and women, the kidnapping of children in Nigeria, the ethnic cleansing in Ethiopia and in China, the continued erosion of the rights of our LGBTQAIA sisters and brothers, all of this while we navigated the COVID-19 pandemic. Now more than ever, we must look at who we are and connect to our deepest selves with the power of the universe as we go forth in this new season of our lives. The world around us is filled with pain and suffering, brokenness and evil arising from fear and hatred. We entered the seminary as incarnate individuals, and we leave as a reincarnated community. A new people who, in the face of a broken world, are charged with the ethical imperative to love our neighbors, to be the light of hope and love, to be instruments of healing. Rabbi Jesus once said, "No one lights a lamp and puts it in a place where it will be hidden or under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand so that those who come in may see the light." Our ordination is a sign, a recognition of the divine presence within us and within the world. As ordained servants of the Creator of the cosmos, we are humble lamps called to be light to the world. As ordained servants, given the title of interfaith minister, we recognize that all we will do with respect to the sacred charge we have received reflects not only upon each one of us, but on this community, on the students that have previously graduated, on the seminary as a whole. One might say that all we do in the name of ministry is also a reflection upon our ancestors and the God and Goddess we worship and praise. The divine has invited us to be partners, co-conspirators, if you will, to the eternal weaving of a cosmic tapestry. This tapestry is the unity and peace that the light and wisdom of the universe wants us to experience. We have arrived in this place and time of the universe for a purpose. The divine energy has blessed us this day, granting that which we have sought. We are grateful and appreciative of all the new seminary has done to bring us to this moment in concert with the divine heart and mind. We are filled with gratitude that the divine has put in our hearts and minds an everlasting desire to seek, explore, respect, and embrace the various interfaith and interspiritual dimensions of humanity. When we come together in the spirit of fellowship and place ourselves in humble service before the cosmic consciousness of the universe, it is then that Howard Thurman's memory of the lost harmony will become a lived reality. We thank our families and friends for being with us on this journey and for their sacrifices made on our behalf. To the new seminary, the class of 2021 thanks you for all you have done to prepare us as we go forth as ministers and graduates.